Is happiness the purpose of life?
No, absolutely not. The purpose of life is to be competent and successful. If you try and base your life and your mentality purely around how happy you are, you'll end up hedonistic and destroyed.
I think that as a man, your happiness comes from feeling respected over feeling loved. And the reason perhaps you're happy now is because you have more respect for yourself because of the decisions you're making. And
Amen.
you have self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of men, even if they have self-respect, if nobody else respects them, they're struggling.
I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived.
But happiness to me is a super interesting concept because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it.
Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever, but I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy.
I don't want a woman to ever go through anything bad in her life. I think a man should go through it for her and protect her because I think that's how she's her best self as a woman. But I think to be your best self as a man is the absolute opposite. And when someone emails me and says, this has happened to me, I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible. How else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken or, you lost a house or broke or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo, little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes, my wife left me, I'm devastated. I say, I understand. I completely understand how hard it can be to lose a woman that you've given your entire life to. And you've done so many nice things. And then because of one thing you did, her innate and absolutely insane level of ungratefulness has turned her bitter, and she now talks to you like she hates you over one thing you've done after thousands of efforts showing how dedicated you are to her. And even now that you're prepared to die for her, she doesn't give a shit about you. I understand that pain. But my answer is, good. It's still good. Now take all of that pain, instead of emailing me, do this. And then you're going to become the kind of person that women don't leave. Then you win. I think everybody on the planet has something to prove. If you walk through life and feel like you have nothing to prove, then you're a loser. If you wake up each day and go, I don't owe anybody anything, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, then you are a loser because you are absolutely not being correct. You must prove yourself to other people. You must prove yourself to your bloodline as we just discussed. You must prove yourself to God. God hates the lazy. He can't stand them. If he gives you all these genetic dispositions and these natural God-given gifts, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You get to build who you are, right? You can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing because I want to play video games. These people are losers. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion, fighting the Matrix out here by myself. More. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't have nothing to prove, then you're a loser. Peasants have never felt like they needed to prove anything, but kings felt like they needed to go and conquer land. Isn't that it's coincidental that the king who already had it all felt like he needed to go to some far-flung land and conquer it and take it and prove he's the king. But the peasants, oh, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're a loser then. You're a dummy. I absolutely and utterly, completely have everything to prove to everybody all of the time. That's who I am. I will prove anything to anybody. If I sit and say X, I will prove it.
Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in this scenario, so I made sure none of those scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep and smile on my face. This is what I deserve. And every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that the world, all in all, generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what you get 99% of the time? A good life. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slacks 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, snakes his friends, talks behind people's back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, etc., who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place, all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it. And that's why you don't have it. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. If you never make a mark on the world, then you effectively never existed. And when you're gone, nobody will care. And that's very important because you have a duty to your ancestors and you have a duty to God. So you must make a choice. And this is a genuine choice to you people at home. Do you want to live in obscurity forever and be invisible and not matter and have an easier life? I would argue that it's not easier because in your heart and in your soul, you're going to feel guilty knowing you could have been something you're not. Or do you want to try your absolute best and struggle and suffer every day of your life, paying the rent for all of the amazing things around you? We pay endless rent. We pay rent for our bodies. We pay rent for our relationships. We pay rent to keep our kids. We pay rent to keep our business. We pay rent to keep our freedom. Every single day is work to pay the rent. It's absolutely never ending. And you have to make that choice. So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, you need to decide, do you want to be invisible with a lower rent bill, or do you want to be important and work hard and suffer to make sure that the rent is paid? It's a choice you must make, and it's binary, and you must be extremely dedicated towards the decision you finally make.
I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person.
The beauty of life as a man is to be great. So you have to sit here and ask yourself, do you want to be a happy loser that's insignificant? Nobody knows you exist. Women don't respect you. Men don't respect you. Nobody cares if you live or die, but you get to smile all the time. Or do you want to be one of the most important people on the planet with a little bit of stress? Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. As a man, there is no easy life. Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer as becoming a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody.
So since I started taking emails from viewers, I get lots of emails from people who are unhappy or discontent. Hey, Tate, I'm really struggling, or I'm really working at, one day I want to, blah, blah, blah. I want you all to understand something about life. The modern world has told everyone they're supposed to be happy all of the time. And I don't think that's true. Because when I get your emails, and if you include your Instagram or something, I look at your Instagram and I realize you're a fat, ugly sack of shit. Of course you're miserable. If I was you, I would be miserable. There's no happiness in your existence. Discontentment and unhappiness is supposed to motivate you. But you've been tricked by the modern world into thinking that there's a problem with you, that it's a condition, there's a disease, there's something wrong with me. Completely incorrect. When you feel like shit, it's supposed to be warning you that your life is shit and something must change. And it's supposed to inspire you to push harder. I know people who are depressed, but it inspires them to push further. They're like, I don't want this life, fuck this, I'm getting rich. And there's also other people who are depressed who sit there and go, I'm depressed, I don't know why. Because you're broke, because you're fat, because you're a loser. Nobody told you at any point you're supposed to be happy all of the time. You're not supposed to be happy. Happiness is on top of a mountain, and you fuckers ain't earned it. So I'm thinking of all the things that make me happy. The fact my beautiful physique, like fucking Hercules. My Lambo, my house, these bitches. Whatever I do, whatever I enjoy at the moment, all had to be earned. My kickboxing world titles, it was all earned. I'm trying to think what happiness has just been given to me. What happiness is given? I can't even think of anything that can be given to you that will provide happiness over the long term. The only thing that you can be given, which will provide temporary happiness, is substances. And this is why people who abuse substances are doing it to try and chase one thing, happiness. Doesn't matter if it's drugs or alcohol or anything else. In fact, every addict I've ever met has been a highly emotional person. And I've met a lot of addicts. I've met a lot of alcoholics, a lot of coke addicts. Everyone knows this, so it's no big thing. I used to sell drugs before. I've never tried drugs in my life. I've never even tried cocaine once. But there was a period where I was selling drugs. What are we gonna do? Arrest me? It was 10 years ago. But every single addict I met is an extremely emotional person. And when I say emotional, I mean the kind of people who jump around in nightclubs and are extremely happy. That's still emotional. They have no stoicism. You see these people in the club. Yeah, the club. Britney Spears, Rihanna, yeah, that. Morons. I could win $100 million and I wouldn't scream like that. And these people are screaming because Rihanna's on a stage 40 meters that way at a festival. No wonder the world's fucked. So, extremely happy over dumb shit. Get angry or sad very quickly or for no real reason. Can't control their temper. Always talking about the past. Talk to an addict. Oh, why are you drinking? Oh man, you don't understand my life back in 2008, man. Blah, 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 blah. Crying about the past. They live in the past and they're highly emotional people and they have no emotional control. And because they believe they're supposed to be happy all the time, they try and medicate themselves with substances. They think, well, if I drink booze or I take drugs, I will feel happy temporarily. But of course that doesn't work. It destroys their life. Everything gets worse. It's a death spiral downwards. So my view, and I'm saying this now because I don't want to keep replying to these sad emails, and I'm going to explain why in a second, but if you're not happy, you're not supposed to be happy. Because I'm happy, because I deserve it. And if you deserve to be happy, you'd be happy too. And that's the truth. You don't deserve happiness until you get up and you go get it. So don't email me anymore. The reason I don't want any more emails from people telling me how unhappy they are is because there's also something else we have to discuss quickly. Nikola Tesla said something very interesting. And it was, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you must think in terms of frequency, vibration, and energy. And I, for the last couple years, have been paying very close attention to energy exchanges and how energy is generated between people. So if I walk into a club, even if I don't do anything, I just walk in, everybody notices. Man, woman, staff, everyone pays attention. They are now aware that I have arrived. And that happens because as the souls of humans evaporate in real time, I absorb them like Shang Tsung. I steal energy from other people. This is what I'm good at. This is what I do. What I don't like reading are low energy emails from low energy people because it's sapping. I mean, you can't sap my powers because my chi is too strong, but it's just and I'm so sad. I don't want to read it. I don't want it in my existence. I don't want it in my realm. I'm a master of energy transfer, and I don't like that kind of energy transfer. You have to email me things that provide me with energy, and I'll reply and provide you with energy, and we will spiral upwards while everyone else spirals downwards. This is the truth. Most people are involved in low energy activities. So let's look at the Rihanna thing we were just talking about. If you're Rihanna on stage, and all these people are screaming at you, think how much energy and attention, and I'm talking energy in terms of genuine measures of energy, like kilojoules of energy that can like heat up a cup of coffee. Screaming, you can scream at a cup of coffee to make it hot. I think it would take like 3 years or something, but you could do it. Well, between all those people, you could heat up coffee pretty quickly. Genuine energy is coming her way, and she's absorbing it all. And you wonder why this bitch is, all these celebrities look good when they're old and why they're happy all the time. Now, pseudoscience, whatever. But they're absorbing energy and attention from people, and they seem to defy age, and they're happy. Whereas the people in the crowd are giving all their energy away, and what are they getting back? A recording of a song they could listen to on YouTube. And then they go home and they're depressed. Oh, I really love that concert, but I'm having a come down now, and I'm just sad, and I can't wait for the next one. That's not a fair exchange of energy. You have to make sure that everything you're doing in your life, there's an exchange. Now, I know a lot of you people are watching this going, what the fuck is Tate talking about? But you also have to understand, I seem to do the impossible. So if I'm seeming to do the impossible in your eyes, you have to understand I know things you do not know. And one of the secrets to the universe is learning how to absorb the energy from other people and use it against them. Some people are energy takers, others are energy givers. There are producers in the world, and there are consumers. And what's actually interesting is, if you talk about content, being a producer is better than being a consumer. But if you talk about energy, being a consumer is better than being a producer. So when I walk in the room, the reason everyone fucking stares is because they can sense their powers being stolen from them. I don't even have to do anything. It's just who I am now. I mean, it's so subconscious to me. That is what I do. When I was young and broke and poor, and I was not nearly as important as I am today, if I'd go to a business meeting with someone who was far more important than me, I would steal as much of his energy as I could in the first 5 seconds. And what I would do is I would shake his hand, look him in the eye, and I'd hold the handshake a little bit too long. And I'd let go. And when I did that, I was deliberately, because he's the boss. I'm there to pitch to him. He's the big rich guy. I'm the young salesman, blah, blah, blah. When I did that, it was deliberately to try and steal some of his power to use against him in that exchange. You can steal people's power. Why do you think fighters look each other in the eyes before they fight? Have you ever fucked a bitch and look her direct in the eyes? This shit's real. Back to the original point. If you're unhappy, you deserve it because you are not absorbing energy from other individuals. You need to find a way to steal the energy from others. There's only so much energy in the world. You do not have enough of it. I will teach you. If you want to learn the secrets of energy absorption, then you can email me. I want to know the secrets of energy absorption. Here's the email address. Email me there. Do not use substances to try and give you happiness because they don't give you any genuine power. The only genuine power are the evaporated souls of lesser men. Understand me.
I'm not a physicist, but I remember from physics, which I did at college level, I didn't do at university level, but they said that in a scientific term, there's not really such thing as cold. Cold is just a lack of heat. Heat has a scientific, you can observe heat scientifically. The atoms move or things jitter or whatever, and heat is generated. But cold isn't a thing. Cold is just a lack of heat. And for that perspective, when people say to me, Tate, how do you be happy? I try to explain to them, happiness isn't a thing. In my view, Happiness is just a lack of grief, as cold is just a lack of heat. And when I say this to people, they look at me like, oh, what are you talking about? Or, well, that's not true because I don't feel happy. We are not children anymore. We're grown-ups, and grown-ups have responsibilities and stresses, and things are on our shoulders. When you say you want to be happy, what you're saying is you want to feel like you did when you were 2 years old, and you got given those jelly beans, and you were staying up late, and you had no fucking worries in the world. That ain't gonna happen. Unless you literally crack billionaire status, and even if you do, depending on the country you're in, if you're in Saudi Arabia or Russia or whatever, most of these billionaires end up in jail anyway for one reason or another, politically motivated shit. You're a fucking grown-up. You are never gonna have a life that's that carefree. That giddish happiness, that childish happiness you felt inside when you were a child is specifically that. It's childish happiness. Happiness for grown-ups doesn't work that way. Happiness for grown-ups is an absolute lack of grief. And when I say this, people go, oh yeah, but I'm sad. You ain't sad, motherfucker. You ain't sad. Imagine the worst thing that could happen to you. Imagine your entire family's in a car and they get in a car crash in the M1 and they all die. Your wife, your parents, your siblings, all of them die at once. That's the worst thing that could happen to you. Has that happened today? And if you're watching this video and go, no, that hasn't happened today, then you're fucking happy because you're not grief-stricken. You're not completely breaking down in tears in a state of mind where you cannot imagine life ever being the same again. So if you don't feel that way, you are happy. You're just not as happy as you imagine yourself to be as a kid because you're a fucking immature moron. Like everything else in life, happiness is a sliding scale. And you're trying to attain a happiness which you're only going to attain 2 or 3 times in your adult life. So I've won 4 kickboxing world titles. Each time I won one of them, I felt that childish type happiness. When I made my first million, I felt that childish type happiness. When I made my 10th million, I felt that childish like happiness. But in general, besides very, very key events, you're not going to feel that happy every fucking day. It would be abnormal for you to feel that happy every day. And the reason people are taking these antidepressants and going through life making up this complete garbage saying that depression's a thing when it isn't, is because they're trying to find a level of happiness which you are not programmed to experience every fucking day. If you are not grief-stricken, if you are not in a state of mind where you are literally don't know how to go forward, if there's not tears running from your eyes, then you're a happy person. Because happiness, like absolutely everything else, is subjective and it's down to your perception of happiness. I say this all the time. There's a really interesting thing on YouTube you can watch about colors. And there's a tribe in Africa which view color completely different to us. So when we say something's brown or we say something's blue, it's an actual real interesting documentary. I'll try and find it and link it in this video about how language affects how we see. Because to them, 2 very similar shades of blue, and I mean very similar, like I would struggle to decipher between the 2. To them, they have different names. So because they have different names, for them, it's very easy to see, as easy as black and white, these 2 different shades of blue. Whereas to me, it's just different, slightly different turquoise. And it's exactly the same as anything else. How you perceive things is how they end up viewing. You view yourself as unhappy when you're unhappy. If you view yourself as happy, if you understand, well, I'm not grief-stricken, so I'm a happy person. And you start to understand that happiness is something you can perceive and you can set the boundaries of. You're setting the boundaries of happiness at the absolute top of that childish, giddy, giggle bullshit. What you need to do is extend those boundaries and understand that anything above grief is happiness. If you say to me, Tate, how are you happy? I'm happy because I'm not grief-stricken. I'm happy because today none of my family members have died. Both of my arms and both of my legs are still here. We're pushing around in this Bentley. This fucking cement truck right in front of us could come and crash into the side of me and take out my fucking one of my arms. Then I'd be unhappy. But right now, both my arms are working. My family members are alive. I'm just going to pass this cement truck quickly before anything bad happens. I have nothing to be fucking sad about. And if you're going to pretend, if you're not smart enough to be able to look at your life and say, my life is not as bad as it could be. I'm not in Syria with no legs and dead family and no food to eat. My life is not over. My life is okay. If you should be able to look at your life like that and be happy, and that's a sign of intelligence. If you refuse to do that, then you're either low IQ, extremely selfish, or most likely an attention-seeking moron. Because we live in a world where people find the easiest way to get attention is to invent ailments. Oh, poor me, I'm depressed. Fuck off. Key to being happiness is to decide you're happy. That's the key to being happy. So anyone, I'm going to make this video because I get asked all the time, Tate, were you happy before you had money? Yeah. Am I happier now I have money? Probably a bit. But that's not what it's about. I've always been happy my entire fucking life because I decided to be happy.
the whole field, the whole industry, the whole way we view depression, the way we view happiness, the way we view sadness is all garbage from head to toe. I think it's all bullshit. We can throw the whole thing out the window. And I start again when people come to me and say about happiness, and I say, who the fuck said you should be happy in the first place? Who even said you should be? I don't care if you're sad. I never told you should be happy. How many push-ups can you do? Not enough. Get to fucking work. So this is my whole view on the whole field.
I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived.
But happiness to me is a super interesting concept, because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? I was like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it.
Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios. So I made sure none of them scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain, which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep with a smile on my fucking face and wake up between two bitches. That's what I fucking deserve. And every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that the world all in all generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what you get 99% of the time? A good life. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slacks 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, snakes his friends, talks behind people back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, etc., who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it. And that's why you don't have it.
You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them.
As a man, you have a burden of performance. As a man, you shouldn't be waking up going, how do I get happy? As a man, you wake up and say, okay, how do I perform? You know, and happiness will come at the end of the performance anyway. But if your number one goal as a man, if your number one mission in life is just to be happy, it could be an extremely vaporous existence, and you're not going to be a man of substance. The men of substance out there are not necessarily happy people. Mike Tyson wasn't happy when he was smashing people's faces in. That's not how you get there. You don't get there being happy. If you're unhappy with your life and you're depressed, I don't expect you to be popping pills and sitting laying in bed. I expect you to give me a huge list of everything you're achieving per day. Depression's a fantastic motivation, but people are told the opposite. No, you feel depressed. That's wrong. You should be happy anyway. Take the pills, stay home, take some time off. Complete garbage. You're depressed. Okay, get up, go for a run, lift more weights, make more money, get a second job, get more girls. Like you can outrun depression.
The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy.
If I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. A lot of these people come to me and they say, oh, but I feel this way. I don't put a huge amount of importance on emotions. It's not that I don't feel them. It's that I don't think they have much to do with anything at all. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run and females to cater for and things to do, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Mm-hmm. Were we? Where? Tell me. You're the expert, bro. Where did it come? Where did it come in our timeline that we were supposed to be happy all the time? Who gives a fuck how you feel? Like, your emotion has nothing to do with the harsh reality of this world. You're either successful or you're not. Life is binary. You either win or you lose. You survive or you don't.
Happy or sad, the push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy.
So when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? And we're all adults here. This infantile mindset that we're all supposed to be like we were when we were 3 years old and, oh, something shiny, laugh all the time, run around in circles, ooh, a cardboard box. We're grown-ups and we have responsibilities and we have problems and we have pressure. And you don't necessarily have to be happy to perform, especially if you're a man. I say this all the time. You should never adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. And most people who are out here giving their life advice, if you sit there and go, are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy. You're on antidepressants, or you were depressed last year, or you're talking about, like, most of these people giving advice out, you wouldn't even want to be them. So why would you listen to them? I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they're happier than me. Otherwise, I'm never going to listen, you know? So yeah, it's being rooted out by the mainstream because they want all of us as slaves. They want us as slaves. The people who are in charge of the world need people to clean their cars and build their boats. Slaves. That's all it is.
Here's the reality of the world, people. If you're watching this, you may not know this, so sit down and pay attention. Yin and yang, old Chinese philosophy, joy and pain, light and dark. There is no up without down. There's no such thing as permanent happiness because then it's not happiness, is it? You only feel happiness because you felt sad. You need the polarity to even experience it. This is what people don't understand. People are going through life going, I deserve to be happy all the time. You're not a child who has, his a 2-year-old who got a toy at Christmas. You're a grown-up. You've got responsibilities. You have things you need to do. You have pressure. You have commitments to fulfill. You're not going to be permanently happy all of the time. There's going to be times you feel a bit pissed off.
I certainly do believe that happiness as a man, I can only talk for myself. But my happiness is derived from having this massive ego, which I've proved. I'm not, look, there's a lot of people with egos who are jackasses because they ain't done shit. But when Mike Tyson in his prime, everyone goes, who has an ego? Duh. It's Mike fucking Tyson in his prime. How are you not going to have an ego? You're from the projects. You just fucked everyone up and you got billions of dollars. Like, I like that. And I think that most men, if they want to feel happier, they need to give themselves a reason to brag about shit. And they're going to start to feel a little bit happier. So maybe it's just me, venting. I love to go online and brag. I certainly do. I love to buy a new car and go and say, look, third Lambo. Ha. I'm so rich. Ha, ha, ha. It makes me, part of me enjoys that. And if that inspires people, then good. I absolutely should inspire people. Just like when the guy in the Ferrari drove past me and on my way to college, he inspired me. He pissed me off, but he inspired me at the same time. So, if my bragging inspires people, I absolutely and utterly encourage that. It certainly should inspire people.
Happiness is a super interesting, and shut me up if I'm talking too much, but happiness to me is a super interesting concept. Because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it. You haven't even got out of your house. Who tells you? Only Western society has told you should be happy permanently without reason all the time. That's not natural. No one, I don't think you should be happy. You're not happy. Why? Well, you're fat and you're lazy. You don't do shit. So yeah. When people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? And we're all adults here. This infantile mindset that we're all supposed to be like we were when we were 3 years old and, oh, something shiny, laugh all the time, run around in circles, ooh, a cardboard box. We're grown-ups and we have responsibilities and we have problems and we have pressure, and you don't necessarily have to be happy to perform. especially if you're a man. Like women have this, I guess to a degree, they're born lucky. Women have this mindset where people expect women to be happy. Women need to be happy. But as a man, you have a burden of performance. As a man, you shouldn't be waking up going, how do I get happy? As a man, you wake up and say, okay, how do I perform? You know, and happiness will come at the end of the performance anyway. But if your number one goal as a man, if your number one mission in life is just to be happy, it could be an extremely vaporous existence, and you're not going to be a man of substance. The men of substance out there are not necessarily happy people. Mike Tyson wasn't happy when he was smashing people's faces in. That's not how you get there. You don't get there being happy. It's not. It's just a complete, the whole mindset, the whole idea that, oh, we all need to be happy all the time is the reason you have men on the streets taking drugs, looking for a quick fix because they don't want to do any real work to get any genuine fulfillment. So they end up shooting drugs, like we were talking about earlier, running around being fools.
The happiest men have still got that drive and that goal to conquer the world one way or another. And the most unhappy men are the men who don't have that goal because they're told it's wrong to think that way. It's wrong to try and conquer. No, it's not. Humans, and especially males, since the dawn of human time, have been programmed to conquer the world. This is all we've ever done. You know, and this is why I was so obsessed with kickboxing. This is why I'm so obsessed with money. Before I had any money, I thought $1 million was a lot of money. As soon as you get $1 million, you realize it's fucking nothing. Then you get 10 and you go, okay, that's a bit, but there's boats out there that cost 500. I can't afford one of them. If you want to really conquer the world, you need more and more and more. This is the natural instinct of men.
You know, I say this all the time. You should never adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. And most people who are out here giving their life advice, if you sit there and go, are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy. But you're on antidepressants, or you were depressed last year, or you're talking about, like most of these people giving advice out, you wouldn't even want to be them. So why would you listen to them? I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they're happier than me. Otherwise, I'm never going to listen, you know? So, yeah, it's being rooted out by the mainstream because they want all of us as slaves. They want us as slaves. The people who are in charge of the world need people to clean their cars and build their boats. Slaves.
This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Mm-hmm. Were we? Tell me, you're the expert, bro. Where did it come in our timeline that we were supposed to be happy all the time?
No, I agree with you. I don't think happiness is the goal. I think fulfillment is. And I think following your purpose and all the way through is what's going to give you fulfillment. I think that's the highest thing in life. I don't put too much stock in happiness. Contentment, maybe.
You can look around and be like, look, I have a good life. And you're right. You can be very satisfied with what you have. But to believe that as an adult, as a full-grown man, you're going to feel constant happiness like you're a 3-year-old child is asinine. And all these people who are constantly complaining about how they feel probably don't have a spectrum of emotions much different to mine. The difference is I don't sit around and cry about it because I don't live that kind of life. I don't have that kind of conditioning in my mind. I don't give a shit how I feel. I have things to do.
But it's also the way you were raised. And maybe if you were raised in a different way, you might be different and you might have a different relationship to your emotions. Is that?
Yeah. If I was raised as a pussy, I'm sure I would be a pussy, but I never was. And that's what most of these men are. I'm being honest. When people come to me, I feel this way. You're a pussy. Oh, but I feel, who gives a fuck how you feel? I'm about to break into your house, strangle your wife to death. Who gives a fuck how you feel? Like, your emotion has nothing to do with the harsh reality of this world. You're either successful or you're not. Life is binary. You either win or you lose. You survive or you don't. These people are so obsessed with themselves and how they feel.
As a man, there is no easy life. If you're looking for an easy life, you should have been a girl. You made a mistake.
Yep.
Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You're not at work at the time. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer to become a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody.
a lot of people are obsessed with the idea of happiness. And especially as a man, I think that happiness can actually be a very destructive motivator. And when men sit and say, I want to be happy, I want to feel happy. To feel happy, a lot of the time, you're looking for temporary hedonism. To be happy, you want to get drunk or take drugs or do something stupid temporarily, and it's very short-lived. I think you should instead be looking as a man to say, I want to feel proud. If you choose pride over happiness, you're going to make decisions that you're proud of and that people around you are proud of, and it's going to be better for yourself and better for society and better for everyone who loves you, everyone you care about.
I think that's the first thing you said that I disagree with.
You disagree? Completely. I think the best thing a man can do is wake up and say, what can I do that's going to make me proud of myself and other people are.
That's your self-projection. That's how you see yourself and imagine yourself inside of the matrix. I think that everybody should have a self-projection. You have to imagine how you see yourself. And if you see yourself as a superhero and an extremely disciplined and hardworking person who achieves everything he's ever wanted in life and does amazing things, you have to understand that you're not going to be able to do that on drugs. So you need to have a mental projection in your mind of who you think you can be and who you want to be. And if that person's a drug addict, then go be a drug addict. But if that person is an extremely successful, extremely hardworking, extremely intelligent, extremely respected individual, he's probably not going to be doing drugs. A lot of this is about your self-image. Where's your duty? Where's your shame? Where's your self-inflicting morality? Where's your pride? So that's the problem with all of this shit. And it's the problem for all these addicts. If you want to wake up and say, what kind of man am I? Am I a drug addict? Well, then go be a drug addict. What kind of man am I? Am I a man who has control of his life and control of his mind? You have to make a decision. I just don't understand how you even took it in the first place. I can't fathom, with all my massive computation in my mind, as smart as I am, I can't work out why you thought that was a smart thing to do, or why it was worth doing, or why you continue to do it. I don't understand. I'm genuinely asking you in a non-patronizing way, not trying to make fun of you. I don't understand. Make me understand. Did it feel good? When I was in high school, we didn't have mobile phones. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. All this porn you jerk off to didn't exist. Maybe that's why my generation isn't fucked up like yours. Maybe that's why every single person in your generation's a fucking lazy lowlife. And all you do is sit around on your phones endlessly scrolling. Consuming garbage. My generation is the last generation where we had none of that, and now we see it all, but we grew up without it. I really do think that growing up nowadays, when you're like a young, impressionable teenager with all this social media and this garbage that's going on, would be very, very difficult. I don't think it would be easy at all. I think it'd be very hard. Is that your default emotion, that you want to feel good? If someone were to say to you right now, you can choose any emotion from the menu, would you choose happy or good?
Yes.
Because this is the problem. Let's say I gave you a menu of emotions and said, choose an emotion. You're not going to choose sad. Who would, right?
Yeah.
But choosing happy can be just as destructive also, because if your only desire is to be happy regardless, no matter what it takes, that's when you're going to eat the cake, because the cake will make you happy. That's when you're going to take the drugs. Drugs will make you happy. Alcohol will make you happy. Hedonism makes you happy. Going to the club makes you happy. It's all dumb shit. If you were to choose proud, or if you were to choose courageous, if you were to choose a different emotion or a different feeling inside, you would have no interest in these things. So I don't wake up and think, how do I feel happy? I don't wake up and say, will this drug make me happy? I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do I want to be happy for?
Damn.
I want to be proud of myself. So what do you do to make you proud of yourself? And what do you do to make others proud of you? Tell me something in the last 48 hours you've done that's worthy of pride. You've slept, jerked off, talked shit on the internet. Have you done anything else with your life? How about being happy? You're a man. You're not supposed to be happy. This whole childish, giddish obsession with happiness is for children and females.
So you're not happy?
It's not that I'm unhappy, and it's not that I am happy. It's that I don't measure my level of happiness. It doesn't matter to me.
But I'm asking, so it doesn't matter that you're happy. So it doesn't matter to be happy is what you're saying?
Absolutely not. If I am miserable, I have duties to complete. If I am very happy, I have duties to complete.
So
I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. In fact, I'd argue that most people who do amazing things don't feel happy about doing them at all.
I understand that,
if you're constantly obsessed with trying to make yourself happy, that's when you fall into addictions and garbage.
Exactly.
So stop caring if you're happy. Nobody cares if you're happy.
So what do I go for? What do I go for?
The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. Funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy. I train every single day. And it doesn't matter how I feel. So, in fact, I would actually argue that the number one way to deal with most of life's problems is always the same thing. You were saying that people deal with things in many different ways. That is true. But in my experience of life, there's only one way to deal with anything. It doesn't matter if you're heartbroken. It doesn't matter if you're sad. It doesn't matter if your bank balance is low. It doesn't matter if you lose a family member. Doesn't matter if whatever negative things can happen to you. Doesn't matter if you go to jail. Doesn't matter what it is. The answer to everything is always the same. Do you know what the answer is?
What is the answer?
Hard work. Work harder. The worse things are, the harder I will work. I'll give you an example. I'll say it right now here on stream. Jail changed me and I had some trouble in there. I never missed a single day's training. Since I've left jail, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I've been training harder than I've ever trained. I put it all over Twitter. I'm doing 6-7 hour days. I could sit around and complain about being tired. I could sit around and be a bitch. I could sit around and cry, or I could just work harder than I've ever worked. It's fantastic that I can't sleep. It's all the time I need. So I can train endlessly. So my point is the answer is always hard work. What else is my answer going to be? I'm struggling with something. I'm going to work less. Does that make sense to you? how's that going to fix anything? At least now, as I decipher the puzzle, because that's what life is, it's a puzzle. And as I decipher the lesson that's been bestowed upon me by God, and as I repair my mentality and become a more content individual, or perhaps a more stable individual like I was before, at least in the meantime, I've done a whole bunch of work. At least I've gotten bigger, stronger, faster, richer. What else am I going to do? Sit around and mope like a dummy? The answer is always hard work. Anyone who's watching this, no matter what problem you're facing in your life, there's only one answer: work. Work harder. You can also take the antidote before the poison. If you're always working as hard as possible, it's actually very difficult for bad things to actually catch up with you. You can take the antidote before the poison. Most people don't even work very hard. You don't work hard. Not fucking at all. You don't do fucking nothing. You people at home, you think you work hard. You could work a lot harder. Hard work's always the answer, my friend. I would say that if you truly decide to quit, you will quit. I think a lot of people who don't quit things haven't truly decided to. It's very easy to say that you want to do something and not do it. We have to keep this clear for the whole world to understand. It's very easy for me to say, I'd love to quit. I don't even have any vices. I could quit cigars tomorrow. It wouldn't even bother me. It wouldn't even cross my mind. If I decided to quit, I'd quit. So if I decided to quit, I really would like to quit. And then I carried on doing it. I don't think I really wanted to. If you really wanted to quit, you would quit. So there's a lot of people who are chasing the familiar feeling, and that familiar feeling can be extremely destructive. And you know what I would say is the most destructive feeling to be obsessed with trying to obtain?
What?
Happiness. Constantly, as a man, trying to chase happiness is the most destructive thing you can do for your life. Because you can't delay gratification. You can't do anything which is particularly difficult. And the only thing that's going to make you happy quick is cheap happiness.
Gotcha.
Cheap and easy. Booze, cake, drugs, dumb shit. Real happiness, real contentment and pride takes a long time to build. You have to be able to be unhappy to have a greater reward at the end. So anyone who's obsessed with chasing happiness can destroy themselves. If somebody has genuinely decided to quit drugs, genuinely, I believe they would quit. And if someone goes, I don't want to quit, man, and they do it an hour later, they don't want to quit. It's not my job to make people do things they don't want to do. If your image in your mind is of the kind of person who is controlled by a substance, I'd be embarrassed for a non-sentient substance, a powder or a plant, to control me. It doesn't even have a brain. And it's my boss. What am I, a dumbass? No, I'm the boss. I'm the boss of fucking tobacco and coffee, and I'm the boss of everything. I'm the boss of food. If I don't want to eat, I don't eat. If you're the kind of person who's going to wake up and go, those pills are smarter than me and they're my master, enjoy your life.
Gotcha.
That's your decision. That's not my, but if you decide to not be that person, if you project a mental image which is not that person, then you'll stop taking those pills.
You talk a lot about purpose, why we are created as humans and why we are here. Like, what is the purpose of life? Why have we been given life?
I think we're here to struggle and to learn. I don't think we're here to be happy. That's why when we keep going back to the happy argument, I've always found that kind of frustrating and annoying. Yeah. And someone goes, oh, but I want to be happy. Why? Why? Why do you want to sit there and laugh? Like you were happy your entire childhood. That's your happy days. You're allowed to be happy as a kid. Right. It's all over now, right? You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult and they're going to be hard and you're going to get frustrated, but that's what gives you purpose. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. Yeah. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. But if you're sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken, at least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? You just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. Yeah. There's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. You need to go and conquer. That's the purpose of life.
Do you believe that God created us? So why did God create us to struggle?
Because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If you want to feel happy inside of yourself and you want to feel content and you want to feel stable inside of yourself, you need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun, but you have to be a good person. I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way.
I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human and that's life. So yeah, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then, that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that. Well, also there's no light without dark and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. No matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks. And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man. You have duty. You have honor. You have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma obsessed with happiness or sadness, I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done.
Bad news is coming, motherfuckers. It doesn't matter who you are, but sooner or later, bad news is going to come. It's either going to come to you or it's going to come to your entire family. People say to me, I get a lot of emails from people. I've become a bit of a guru, and I understand why. I'm rich, got all the hoes, got all the cars, I'm the man. But a lot of people say to me, I'm feeling down, I feel depressed, how do I combat this? How do I feel happy? I've done 2 videos on happiness thus far, and this is my 3rd video on happiness. Here's a key to being happy. You need to understand that time is guaranteeing, sooner or later, that something bad is going to happen. And that bad thing is either someone you love is going to die, or you're going to die. There's no way to escape this reality. Either your mother, father, girlfriend, brother, whoever, the person you cherish most on this planet is going to die and you're going to be left grieving, or you're going to die and they're going to be left grieving. And both scenarios are bad. They're both terrible scenarios, which are guaranteed to happen sooner or later. My worst nightmare is losing my brother. We even have a policy, we don't fly alone. If the plane goes down, we both die. We literally, my brother doesn't like fast cars that much. He doesn't like car rallies. When I said I'm going to do a car rally, I'm driving for 2 weeks from London all the way to Marbella through the mountains. He goes, I have to come with you. I said, why? He goes, because no one's going to pull you out of a flaming car besides me. Literally, it's our worst nightmares to lose each other. But sooner or later, one of us is going to die. So my key to happiness is this. When you understand this reality, you don't have to have a brother. You can have a father, a mother, a wife, your children. Sooner or later, there's death involved on the human time scale. No one's immortal. When you understand this reality, you start to sit there, and what you should do is wake up each day with a sigh of relief. This is my key to happiness. I wake up. My brother's alive. The people I love are still alive. I'm not dead. And that may sound a bit extreme, but there's a whole bunch of people out there who don't get that luxury. There's a whole bunch of people whose family get murdered, die in a car crash, get a disease, whatever. There are people out there who would do anything to have that feeling that I get each morning I wake up. And that relief sets the tone for my happiness. How can you message me and tell me you're depressed if you're not in that situation? You're going to have plenty of time to be depressed and to cry your eyes out later, because that situation's coming. Or you're going to be dead. Maybe you get shot in the head and it's all over. Otherwise, that situation's coming. So you're going to have plenty of time to be depressed and sad. Why are you doing it now? Over what? Unhappy days are coming, gentlemen. They're going to come. And if those days are not today, you should be extremely fucking grateful.
This is the reality. That sigh of relief is a relief you need to feel. Every day you wake up and you see around you and your family's still alive, you need to be happy. Use that as a base for happiness. How can you email me and say, I'm depressed, I'm sad, when you're upset over some minor bullshit? You're going to have bigger problems in the future, friend. So you better get the fuck over that. Put a smile on your face, because sooner or later, you're going to be devastated. And if that day is not today, be happy.